How's it going, everyone? College Lefty, and in this video I kind of wanted to talk about something that I stumbled upon last night and something that kind of clicked in my brain a little bit. I saw that SDS released some brand new prospect cards into MLB The Show 20. You guys have probably already seen these cards, and the one that stuck out to me the most is this Brendan McKay, specifically because he has pretty good pitching stats. He's a left-handed pitcher, and for the most part, I like pitchers that also have really good hitting stats as well. But I wanted to talk about what I believe is the most underrated quirk in MLB The Show 20, simply because we have implemented an energy bar, a stamina meter with pitchers. So this guy has 95 durability, and that is what I believe is the threshold for this unbreakable quirk. He'll avoid injuries and recover energy at a high rate. What that means is, let's say he takes a line drive off of the face, he may stay in the game. For example, the first time facing Corey Kluber, I drilled him in the forehead and he left the game with a concussion, and he only has 68 durability. I'll show his stats later on in this video, but that also might help him replenish stamina quicker as a starting pitcher and be more viable for you, whether you bring him in relief, whether you use him as a spot starter and run a six-man rotation. But the thing that really stuck out to me, and the way I've tested it, is by using this 88 overall Greg Maddux. I've tested this out without even realizing it, because he also has the same quirk, Unbreakable, and he has 97 durability. So I believe the threshold is 95 because there are a few other pitchers that don't necessarily have 95 and they don't have the quirk. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I believe that this Unbreakable quirk is pretty valuable. Now, all of these quirks listed for legend players or players that are non-live series players are inactive quirks. They are called inactive quirks because it is simply a attribute threshold that determines whether or not they earn the quirk or not. So because this guy has a high hits in Ks per 9, he has the stingy quirk. Because he has the 95 durability, he has that unbreakable quirk. And I've noticed it because I've used Greg Maddux more than any other pitcher, and I've had him since the game released, of course, but I've used him in relief. I've noticed that he is ready to go more often than all of my other pitchers, and I was kind of wondering, why is that the case? So I started to look into it, I started to do some research, and I found out that it has to be the durability attribute, because all of these other pitchers have similar pitching stats. I mean, some of them have higher hits in Ks per 9, and here Dennis Eckersley only has 91 durability, and he does not have the unbreakable quirk. So these are things that stick out to me, and he does still replenish stamina faster than some of my other guys in my bullpen. So I want to say that even though you don't have the quirk, you will still be able to replenish stamina with the higher durability attribute that you have. From what I'm understanding, I mean, for example, Corey Kluber, 68 durability, Shohei Ohtani, right around the same. They take a little bit longer to recover up to full strength if I pitch a complete game or I use them into that yellow stamina bar within the game. Eric Gagne is another one who actually had some arm injuries throughout his career, but this breakout Eric Gagne has 87 durability. He does not have the quirk either, but that's where I'm gauging the threshold. 91 is not quite it. We'll try to see, obviously 87 is not going to be it, but I also wanted to talk about some of these other quirks. So, for example, illusionist, a breaking ball quirk for a pitcher. That basically means that their break attribute for that specific pitch is high enough to earn that quirk. So it's going to allow their pitches to break a little bit more simply because they have a high break attribute already. It's not going to be an active quirk, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, which is what all live series players have, these active quirks, and that can make a significant impact in your game each and every pitch. But John Smoltz, he has 94 durability. He does not have the unbreakable quirk, so that is why I believe the threshold for this quirk is at 95. Now, he will also replenish stamina rather quickly. I mean, for the most part, I've noticed these types of things when I'm using pitchers like Corey Kluber or Shohei Ohtani in the 60s durability. But if you notice here, I mean, all of these pitchers have around the same pitching stats in terms of hits and Ks per 9, walks per 9, control, velocity, All those things will come into play for those other quirks, but that Unbreakable Quirk, I believe, is pretty underrated. I think, if you have an opportunity to keep your pitcher in the game after taking a line drive off the head, or you can replenish stamina at the same time, and it's all based on a quirk that we didn't really know too much about, hasn't really mattered too much in previous years because we didn't have this energy bar. Here's an example of Felix Hernandez, 90 durability. He doesn't have the quirk either. So I'm like 99.9% sure that the threshold is 95. Brendan McKay, along with Greg Maddux, and probably a couple other guys. I didn't get a chance to look through everyone, but I wanted to see I want to look for mainly relief pitchers. I know in years past that Raleigh Fingers has had that Unbreakable Quirk, but it didn't really matter simply because we didn't have that energy bar. It still helped him stay in the game longer, I would say, if he got hit or whatever. But for this energy meter for this year's game, I feel like this is pretty important. I feel like this is something that I wanted to get out there for you all, so that way you can maybe adjust your pitching staff if you want. If you want to try and get one or two guys, I try to use a 6-man rotation. I'll show you guys my rotation at the end of the video, but here's another example. 94 durability, Fergie Jenkins, and this is a gold pitcher, so it doesn't determine, it's not based on if you're a diamond or a gold. It's based on the threshold for these attributes. So he has the workhorse and the control artist, which means, he has great stamina. He has a high stamina attribute. He can pitch into the game losing energy at a lower rate because of that stamina. And then he also has control artist. He has great control. He has great control on each and every one of his pitches as well. That will also help him. But I think that attribute goes along with the walks per 9 attribute. But here's Corey Kluber. Here's the example, 68 durability. And this pitcher, if I use him for a complete game, and I have used him for a 9-inning complete game, it wasn't a shutout, but I gave up a couple home runs. I still kept him in there because I wanted to see how long it would take him to recover. And it took him like 4 games before he was back to full stamina. So that can be a factor in your team. If you have a Corey Kluber or let's say Clayton Kershaw with 90-something durability, 95 durability, and he's a signature series, you can use him every 2 or 3 games. That's a much more valuable player. But this is what I wanted to talk about with active quirks. Mike Trout has all of these active quirks right here. He has 15 total quirks. Some of them are determined by attribute threshold, but the ones like dead red, unfazed, situational hitter, rally monkey, first pitch hitter, those are all active quirks. Those are types of quirks that only live series players will have, and that can significantly help them in penalties. So what that means is, let's say you throw a fastball inside to Mike Trout, I jam the PCI inside, and I get under it and hit it with good okay. Well, it has more of a likelihood to go out because Mike Trout has the, either whether it was first pitch or with 2 strikes, he also has the fastball quirk. Those will stack up together, and you'll be able to get higher exit velocities, less penalty on poor PCI placement, and some of those are the reasons why those active quirks are very helpful. So you'll go up against a team with all live series diamonds, and they'll be smacking the ball. They'll be hitting the ball when they're losing. You might think, hey, there might be a code in this game where people can come from behind a lot more easily. No, everybody has that rally monkey quirk that are, in terms of good live series players, everybody has that rally monkey quirk, at least from what I've seen and the research that I've done just looking at some of the players. So when you're ahead in the game, you have more of a chance to give up some good hits or some home runs to players like Mike Trout, Chris Bryant, different tiers, different live series players. Aaron Judge has some of those quirks. I know Nolan Arenado does as well. A lot of the best players in the game, Cody Bellinger, a lot of the diamonds, Ronald Acuna, even gold cards like Joey Gallo has some of those quirks. Tatis, just depends on the player. It depends on their attributes, and it depends on those active quirks as well. But I did pick up Reggie Jackson. I'm going to make another video unlocking him and showing you how I was able to unlock him. And then this is my pitching staff rotation. So I just used Greg Maddux previous game before trying to play for World Series, and he already has, I pitched 8 innings with him, and he already has half of his energy or 2/3 of his energy back. So I don't know, but I have Brandon McKay as my 6th spot starter. I'll probably take out Blake Snell for him every now and then just to make sure I have that lefty. Hopefully I helped you out in some way. I'm College Lefty, and peace out.